So many of my questions have already been answered.
How synchronous of you.
I know. I was in Sedona the other day channeling, and I felt like you were answering my questions.
Nope.
Nope.
Not directly.
Okay.
You're using us as a permission slip to make it easier to speak to your own higher mind and your own connections in other places. We're happy to be used that way. You may be connecting into our collective vibration, which, because you're familiar with us, you may think is actually personally us, but doesn't necessarily have to be.
Sometimes I run away from my channeling.
Why? Where can you hide? You do understand that channeling is a natural state, yes? All of you have the capacity, and all of you do it from time to time. It's just getting into the state where you're being yourself as fully as you can, where you're doing what you love to do, operating at peak performance, being in a deep meditative state. Going into the brainwave frequency known as gamma is the channeling state. What you choose to do with it is up to you, but it's a natural state. You can't run away from it. It's part of what you are. And you do it all the time. What's to be afraid of?
I think failure.
Failure? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Sure you do. You're afraid of it.
How
are you defining it?
Defining it as not being able to do it.
And who cares if you don't?
I do.
Why?
Because I feel like I can't be happy without it.
Really? You can't choose to be happy?
It definitely sounds silly.
Usually when you actually say those things, they often sound quite silly. This is one of the reasons why it's important to get them out of your head.
Agreed.
So, can you choose to be happy?
I do all the time.
What's the difference between that and channeling? Nothing. It's that simple. It's that simple. You will learn a little bit more about this state in the upcoming documentary.
Thank you.
Now, are you still afraid?
Yes.
Why? Let me put it to you this way. Let me repeat something that we already said. We do what we do because this is what excites us, because this is who we are. If none of you listened, we would still do it. Because the idea is to act on your excitement for its own sake, not because of what you think has to happen by doing so. Don't make your excitement conditional. Make it unconditional. Do it because it excites you. Let the result be the result. If the result is that for some reason you're not going to channel at that moment, then there must be something you have to learn there in that experience. If you approach it from that point of view, if you approach it from that positive definition, it will become part of what you channeled to yourself to learn. And by the way, you want to know a secret?
Yes.
You want to know a secret? Yes. Do you remember when we said that the idea of you as a person is just a projection of consciousness?
I am now.
You are always channeling. You're channeling your personality into being. This is an artificial construct, what you consider yourself to be a person. You're channeling your personality into being. So in fact, you're always channeling. See how well you do?
Yeah.
The kind of channeling you're talking about is just icing on the cake. It's just a different way of expressing it. But you're actually always channeling. You can't help it. It's a natural state.
And my hybrid children?
Not going to talk about them today. But they will visit you in the dream state within 3 days.
Oh. And I'm interested about the economic, I don't want to use the word crash, but... Adjustment, there you go. I've seen China, and I've seen Greece, and I've seen now Italy, and I'm watching a progression. And so, are we still on track?
To some degree, although some things have changed a little bit here and there. But we're not going to go into detail about that now.
Deal. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Nania?
Yes.
Would you like to pick one more?
I would. Bright? No. B-I-R-T-E? Birdie? Merg? Meng? Okay, I got it. You got it.
Hi, Bashar.
Annie, you good day.
Okay, not prepared.
Speak up, so that all may hear what you have to share. Take advantage of your technology.
What kind of role do I play in the hybridization program?
A very good one. Some genetic material has been utilized, but some energetic template material has also been utilized as patterns upon which the hybrids can be generated. And also helping to teach, to guide, to acclimate some of the hybrid children to Earth society so that they can eventually fit in. Because many things to them are completely alien that you take for granted on Earth. So you're kind of participating on different levels. Does that help you?
Yes, it's a confirmation.
Anything else?
Will I live with my hybrid children?
Speak up.
Will I live with my hybrid children?
There is a probability, but we can't tell you exactly what the percentage is at this time. You're still working on yourself in certain ways. And it is a probability.
Okay.
That much we can sense.
To my personal life at the moment, very often I feel extremely exhausted still. I'm a single mom living with my 3-year-old daughter.
All right. Are you operating on a cycle or schedule that actually works for you instead of forcing yourself to do things in a way that doesn't?
So I just opened up myself for opportunities. I opened my eyes.
Once again, let us explain it this way. By taking whatever action you are capable of taking, whatever action you're capable of taking, on your excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome, one of the tools in that kit of excitement is the organizing principle of synchronicity. And what that means is, when you are in the state that represents your alignment with that vibration of excitement, your true vibration, because that's what it is, the organizing principle will bring you the opportunities you need exactly when you need them, will show you what you need to do, in what order and when, and whatever you don't have time to do at the end of that day, you didn't need to do that day. It's a true organizing principle that shows you exactly how to structure the natural cycles of your life. If you resist them because of what your society says you should be doing, then yes, you can exhaust yourself, you can overwhelm yourself by doing things in ways that are not aligned with the way you need to do them that works best for you. So you have to use your imagination, find out if there are things that need to be done, ways in which you could do them, that the most exciting ways you could do them, the ways that are most aligned for you. And then you will start to flow and you will actually be energized instead of exhausted. You don't have to do more than you truly need to do. Let the organizing principle show you what it is you actually need to do and when you need to do it and how much you need to do, by following your excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome. Does this help?
This helps, yeah.
Are you feeling a little bit more relaxed?
A little bit.
All right. Well, you can keep going in that direction if you will be willing to wrap your mind around this principle and actually apply it in your life more and more to whatever degree you're comfortable doing so. Yes?
Can you tell me, how can I help to serve my daughter in a better way that she can have an exciting life? And me too at the same time.
Yes. There are many things you can do for the children being raised on your planet at this time. Number one, as the parent and the teacher, in a sense, you have to have the imagination to be able to create very interactive, creative environments that allow them to explore in a safe environment the consequences of choices that they make, so they can learn that there is a connection. You can teach them they are as powerful as they need to be to get everything they need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to attract it. You can adapt whatever it is you believe it's important for them to learn in life on earth to what excites them, instead of adapting their excitement to what you think they need to learn. In other words, look for what already excites them and adapt the lessons to their excitement. Put it in the terms that excites them, and they will eagerly learn. Those are three of the most important things to do. Create an interactive, creative environment, loving environment, safe environment that teaches them consequences of choices. Teach them that they are as powerful as they need to be to attract whatever they need, not want, whatever they need in life that's relevant for them without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to attract it. And
I see in my daughter very often a very strong will, like very powerful.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
well,
a lot of
most
anger
children are.
too. So can you tell me something about her anger? Is something going a kind of wrong way?
No, but changes do need to occur so that there is a different form of communication coming to her that allows her to know she is safe and powerful, and needs to exercise her imagination in ways that, again, train her into understanding the consequences of choices so that she can develop a guidance system for herself. Now, one moment. Does she have a favorite place? Does she have a favorite place?
I don't know about that.
Find out.
Well, could be a lot of countries. She's German and American, for example.
Yes.
I'm looking for a new place to stay, and I don't know where at the moment.
Does she have a favorite place? You know, there are things she can teach you, right?
Yeah, I know.
Find out what her favorite place is, and that may be the beginning of a synchronous communication between you that allows you to truly develop a partnership with your child in a certain way. Not meaning you won't be the parent, but you can develop a certain form of communication that allows you to function in a very good partnership way, so that you can learn from her as she learns from you.
Perfect.
So find out what her favorite place is. Yes?
I do.
And then act to the best of your ability on whatever you are capable of acting on in that direction, with absolutely no assumption or insistence that things have to work in the way that you think. And see what happens. Now,
thank you.
The birthday is when?
Yesterday.
Ah, yes.
September 9th.
All right. So, this for you can be together an exploration of a new birth, a new understanding. And even though, of course, I'm not saying that you don't consider her to be a child, also look at her with eyes that see the other side of the fact that on a different level, she's not a child at all.
I see that. Sometimes I call her mom.
All right. So, what did you do for the birthday?
So yesterday, I just stayed there in Alaska. I came this night just to stay there for her birthday.
Yes.
We made a reunion with her dad.
Yes.
She hasn't seen him for a year.
All right.
So
that could be some of the anger, you know.
Yeah, sure. So it was not that easy in the last years for me being a single mom in Germany.
All right.
With no support.
Now you need to start retraining your own thought process and your own belief system to understand that there is no such thing as an inherently difficult situation. It's only your beliefs that make it seem so, because of how you're defining the situation and your relationship to it. This is where you can begin to retrain yourself how to see reality differently, and that you then give her the opportunity to pick that up from you so that she knows she is empowered. Because her anger is coming from a sense of disempowerment. Do you understand?
Because I felt that?
Yes. And because of the situation you've created in the way you've created it, in the way you've labeled it. So, the child needs to feel connection and self-empowerment and consequence of choice in the most positive way possible to learn these things. Yes?
Yes.
Does this help you?
This helps a lot.
Then happy birthday to you both.
Thank you.
Nania,
Yes.
you may all now enjoy a refreshment break. We will continue this transmission after your break. We thank you. All right, let's say good day to you. Everyone, how are you all? All right, thank you. Let us begin this transmission with the title that we have chosen, called The Future of the Past. Let us begin by allowing us to read you a newspaper headline. JFK assassinated today in Boston, Massachusetts. This date, November 9th, 1968. What does this mean? This is a parallel reality, different from the one you now consider to be your history. And of course, there are many other versions of this scenario. We once shared with you that another version of your history that you experienced before the present one allowed this particular individual, your President Kennedy, to survive until your 1980s. But the one that we have mentioned today, November 9th, 1968, has a particular meaning to the history that you believe you remember. The idea is that history is not linear. It is holographic and is made of many different kinds of intrusions of parallel realities. At the very least, if not the events themselves, the effects of other events in other realities color what you consider to be your linear history. So to continue this example, the idea to remember is that what you think of history is always changing, always. When you as a collective group decide to shift to a particular parallel reality path, remember that as you become a new society, as you become new people, you also create a new history to go along with that, to make sense out of the choice that you made in the present. Because the past is created from the present, not the other way around. So you have had many histories that you are now unaware of, because every time you change, you wipe the slate and create a new history that appears to be the only history you've ever had. So, several years ago, you actually had a different history than what you remember now. But you don't know that. But because we can see the bigger picture and all the lines of intersecting energies between different parallel realities, we can see the path that you've taken. In this particular case, let's say one of the original history choices you made was that your President Kennedy was in fact assassinated in 1968. The reason for this is because near the end of his second term, he was about to reveal the existence of extraterrestrials. The idea is that it actually was revealed. And in that particular parallel history caused so much chaos and so much collapse in your society that he was labeled as the cause of it. And someone assassinated him for that reason. Now, because of the societal collapse in that particular history that went along with the revelation of our existence, you decided to shift as a society and take another path. And to prevent it from happening, you chose a history where he died in 1963. And therefore never had a chance to reveal what he had planned to reveal. However, to illustrate the point that your history isn't linear, that it is affected by ripples from other parallel realities all the time, because the original assassination occurred in 1968 based on the idea of the collapse of society, it created a very strong eddy, a very strong current in the fabric of space-time. So even when you shifted your collective consciousness to the idea of a history in which he died in 1963, effects from the original 1968 still existed and still impacted the new history, which is why Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King were assassinated in 1968. So if you begin to understand how this actually works, you can see that what you consider to be a linear history back in time is actually composed of many different parallel reality ripples and effects that all come together and change every single time that you change your idea of what your present is. That then changes what your idea of your history ought to be in order for that history to have brought you to the new present that you're at, because you still have to do it in a linear way to play the physical reality game. But in understanding this holographic nature of history, you can never really look at the idea of history in a linear way again. You will understand that it is a composite of many different overlapping realities, and it is constantly dynamically changing every time you make any change whatsoever. Not just the societal level, but your own personal histories as well. Because as you become a new person, every time you redefine yourself, you create a new history for yourself. Now, if it seems to be the same, again, this is because you have wiped the memory of the old history, and the new history must appear to be the only history that's ever been there in order for it to make sense for the person you've defined yourself to be in present. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't sometimes choose to recreate similar events over and over and over again every time you define yourself and create a similar history to some degree. This does happen because most of you have an agreement not to necessarily go too far in breaking the continuity of your mass consensus reality about what your history ought to be based on who you consider yourselves to be or define yourselves to be in the present. Nevertheless, this points out that you always, every single moment, have a choice to change your past as you change your present. And to understand that the more you wrap your mind around this, the more you allow yourself to understand how this works and how it's structured more holographically, you have more opportunity to, within relevant parameters for your life, break that continuity more and more and more. And the breaking of that continuity will create more, shall we say, fluidity and flexibility within how you experience space and time, which means you will experience an increase in synchronicity, which is physical reality's linear space-time way of showing you that all things exist at once, that they're all interconnected. You will increase your experiences of things like déjà vu, which is experiencing the idea of the forward arrow of time and the backward arrow of time simultaneously, because you have the feeling in déjà vu that you know what's about to happen because it feels like it's already happened before. So you're getting both arrows of time simultaneously by expanding your consciousness to incorporate that idea. You will increase many other kinds of experiences in physical reality. But what it will mostly allow you to do when you really understand this concept is truly be more lucid in the physical reality dream and truly be more conscious about the kinds of choices you are making, the kinds of ways in which you define yourself and what's true for you, and exactly what that does to the entire linear space-time reality when you do that. And it will give you more understanding of how you are creating your reality experience, because physical reality is just a projection. It's just a dream. And it's all about becoming more and more lucid in the physical dream and waking up in that lucidity. And then knowing more and more, and again, whatever way is relevant for you, that you can bend the idea of space and time, because you're actually doing it all the time anyway. It's just that you're becoming more conscious of the mechanism that you're using. That's what's going on in this transformational age. You're becoming more conscious of what you're already doing. It's no longer being seen in an illusionary way as if it were real. You're beginning to break through the veil and see it for the illusion that it is. Now, this won't completely go away while you still choose to be physical, but it will give you a lot more flexibility in how you experience your physical reality. It will still always be relevant. Whatever comes up will always be relevant for the life path you chose, for the theme you chose to explore. It won't go beyond that relevance. But there are different degrees of relevance for many different people on your planet. So many of you will start to experience more magical experiences in physical reality. You will see that it is more flexible, more synchronous, and always has been. It's just, again, that you're becoming more and more aware of it. So the idea is that in the future, your history will really start to more consciously match what you define yourself to be in the present. So the future of history, the future of the past, is very open, very flexible, and you're beginning to understand that the past is just as indeterminate as the future is. That the probabilities of what might become your future also are the probabilities of what might become your past. Because these are both projections from the only place you actually exist, the present. That's all there is. There is only here, there is only now. So everything that is happening, everything that you think will happen, everything you think has happened, is just another projection, another reflection, another perspective of the now. And that's why when you change the now, everything else has to change, both the future and the past, because they're just reflections of what you're defining yourself to be now, and are as ephemeral as a reflection in a mirror. They do not have real solidity. You play the game that they do, and that's fine. But now is the time to allow yourself some leeway, some permission to break that continuity to the degree that truly serves you to experience yourself as the creator of your reality experience. Because remember, as we have said before, your natural state is one of spirit. You're all still in spirit right now. It's just that you're dreaming that you're not. That's what physical reality is. You have never left spirit. You can't leave spirit, but you can dream that you can. And that's what this is. And we're sharing that dream together by agreeing to do so. And remember that you are redefining yourself billions of times per second. Your consciousness is slipping through billions of parallel reality frames per second. So at any given moment, you are always back to zero. You always have a clean slate. You always have the ability to redefine yourself in whatever way is truly relevant for the theme you chose to explore. And there's a lot of leeway in that. None of you are stuck in any way, shape, or form, especially not in this day and age. This is all about understanding consciousness, that you are an expression of consciousness, and that time and space are your illusions to play with, are your projections, are your tools to discover yourself from a new perspective, a new point of view. Because if you don't forget who you are, you can't remember who you are from another point of view. That's why you have this physical dream. To discover a new idea of yourself, a new perspective of yourself, a new relationship to all that is of yourself as an aspect of all that is. Does this make some sense to you? All right. So, We share that idea with you, that history is always changing, never static, exactly to the same degree that you believe your future probabilities change. But you, here, squarely in the middle, in the now, in the present, the fundamental you never changes. The structure of your consciousness never changes. The expression of it does, the form of it does, but the basic fundamental you will always be you. It will always be your perspective from which you are having any experience of a future or a past. It will always be from your perspective that you will have any experience of physical or non-physical reality. It will always be you from your perspective that will have any experiences of other dimensions, other realms, other parallel realities, anything you can imagine. It will always be you having the experience, because you are the constant. You are the structure that never changes. But your relationship to yourself, your perspective of yourself, always changes. Your experience of yourself always changes. And you get to decide in what direction it will change. The more lucid you become in this physical dream, the more you surrender to your true self, the more you will realize that surrender is actually control, because you are already in control. You've just forgotten that you are. So remind yourself and play with this idea of holographic history and see the bigger picture so that you can understand the relationship of how parallel realities work together to create not only the probable future, but the probable past, and how this informs you so that you can make more aligned, more harmonious decisions about who and what you choose to be in the present. Does this make sense? All right. Well, we thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you this day of your time. And in return for the gift of sharing that you are giving us, I ask now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.
Thank you. Same to you. First of all, this is the third time that I'm here.
Is this the charm then?
No. And this is something very interesting in my case.
Yes.
Because the 3 times that I've been here, I've been called.
Yes.
Which is great.
Thank you for your synchronicity.
Yes, I will say we both are in synchronicity.
Yes.
And now my real question is, I can even really formulate the question because it's beyond my understanding.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Let
no,
me
it's
finish.
not. No,
Okay,
it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, 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 no.
Just listen and wait.
No, 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 no.
He did the same thing last time. So anyway.
If it was beyond your understanding, you wouldn't know there was a question.
Again, he got me, right? Anyway, the theme, if I recall well, that I have really bad memory, is manifestation, right? How to manifest the thoughts.
The manifestation space, yes.
Yes.
It's how you do manifest, becoming more conscious of how you already manifest. Not how do you manifest, not and if you are learning it, no, you already know how to manifest, is becoming more aware of how you already manifest.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm still dealing with this question.
Yes. What question is that?
I've been having, well, I have one, I'm afraid to have regression, just like my wife says. And when I have it, it's always something different. I wouldn't say weird because we all are a little bit weird, but it's great.
All right.
The last one was some sort of an animal, like an eagle and unicorn and all of those things.
Yes.
And every time that I am in those mental state,
yes,
I just don't want to come back.
So, don't until you do.
Well, this is exactly the question, because if I come back, I would love to come back and manifest that reality here.
No, not necessarily. But you can manifest the energy of that reality in the form in which it will work where you are. It doesn't have to look like it does on the other level. It needs to look like it needs to look on the level that you're operating on, but the energy will be the same. You're just under the mistaken impression that it has to look the same. It doesn't look the same on different levels, but it's the same energy.
That is exactly why the question might not be beyond my understanding, but your answer it is. How can I manifest something that is some sort of in dreams or in another reality? And if my feeling to manifest it here, the same level, the same degree, or even better if it's possible in this reality.
Well, the imagination you had, the image you had, the symbol you had on that level has a certain feeling, has a certain state of energy being to it. All you have to do is remember what that felt like, and you'll be in the same state of being. Then acting from that state of being, you will manifest whatever form it needs to look like in this reality.
All right, let's stop right there.
Oh, all right.
I feel and I feel that moment, that energy.
Wait a minute. You just told us to stop.
Yeah, to stop.
Oh, how come you're still talking?
Because you're the one who's going to stop while I'm talking. Other than that, you are answering something that is not yet the question.
Don't you understand that I'm having some fun with you?
Of course, we both are having fun.
All right.
Yeah, other than that, there is no point to be here, and I love this.
All right.
Now,
so
the question, manifesting that reality, that energy right here in the same way, how can I do that? Or if it's
I'm telling you that you don't need to do it that way. The point is some symbols on certain realities don't work in other realities. It has to manifest in a way that is relevant to the reality that you're manifesting in. It doesn't have to look the same. It often won't look the same. You are focused on the surface appearance instead of the energy of the thing. Stop focusing on the surface appearance. Do you know what a tesseract is?
No, I don't.
Do you know what a cube is?
A cube? Yeah.
Yes, a cube. All right.
Yeah.
If you imagine seeing a cube, and let's say each face of the cube, you could see, maybe it's transparent and you can see all the way through the cube? Yes?
Yes.
You have that in your mind?
Yeah, I'm putting that in my mind.
All right. Now, the cube is the way it manifests in your particular reality. In a higher reality, it's a tesseract. And what that means is, when you look at one face of the transparent cube, you are seeing to the back of the cube, right? You can see the other face on the other side, yes?
Yes.
Because it's transparent. But on a higher level, that's actually a different cube. And when you go to the next face and you see the back of the cube, that's actually a different cube. Now, in your reality, a transparent cube is simply going to be a cube from every direction. It's not going to be 6 different cubes. But on a higher level, it will be. So if you go to the higher level and you see the tesseract, that is actually a multitude of cubes overlapping in the same space, different cubes, different volumes, you can understand the energy of that. And then when you see the cube in your reality, by giving it the same energy, the same state of being, you can get the same effect that the tesseract gave you, but a tesseract doesn't manifest in your reality. You can't insist that it does in the same way because it may not need to in order to give you the same effect in your life. Does that make sense?
Sort of. So that means the manifestation, no matter how we want it to, or we strongly feel,
yes,
it won't work.
It may not work. What I'm saying is don't insist on it, or you may be overlooking the fact that what can easily look like a unicorn on one level might only show up in your reality as a horse. But if it's the same energy, if it's the symbol that represents the same state of being, why ignore the fact that the energy has come to you? You've manifested it, but you've manifested it in the symbol that works in your reality so that it will work in your reality instead of being something that has to fit itself in your reality because most of your reality says unicorns don't exist. So why insist that the form has to be the same when the effect is the same, which is the point?
So therefore, manifestation also has to do with the type of reality or dimension that you're living.
Absolutely. This is called the resonance of similars.
Wow.
So the idea is, and it works in many other ways. Let me put it to you this way. You know those ESP tests that many of your scientists are often doing with people who say they are psychic?
Yeah, I heard.
And they say, well, I have some cards here. I want you to tell me what card I'm looking at. Now, the person doing the test may be looking at the ace of spades. And the so-called psychic, in getting the vibration, may say, oh, it's the Queen of Hearts. And the person doing the test says, no, you are wrong. You are not psychic. What they're forgetting and overlooking is the resonance of similars, which means the ace of spades to the person doing the test energetically may be representative of a winning card. To the psychic, maybe they played a card game once in which they won the card game with the Queen of Hearts. So to the psychic, the Queen of Hearts has the same energy, a winning card. So they're not wrong energetically. They're picking up on the winning card energy that the tester is holding in their hand that simply to the tester looks like the ace of spades, but doesn't look that way to the psychic because they have different symbols for expressing the same idea. Does that help illustrate the point?
Really help and put me in more trouble.
Congratulations. Happy to help.
Okay, let's see.
No, that's enough for now.
All right, it's enough for now. Thank you.
Thank
Bashar.
you. Get on your unicorn and ride
Next
on.
time I'll make it.
And by the way, symbolically, in terms of imagining and manifesting on that level the unicorn, it's sort of a symbol of helping you get the point.
Hi, Bashar.
And are you good day?
Thank you. To you as well. I've been having some health issues the last 7 years, and I think I've been making some good progress on it, but I figured I'd get your medical opinion.
I do not give medical opinions.
Your energetic opinion. How about that? Or just your opinion in general.
First of all, on the physiological level, we do not do health readings, nor do we give any kind of real health information in that sense at this point, because we've delivered everything we need to deliver, and therefore, as a reminder, if it's not something that you've already done, the first step physically is to completely and thoroughly as possible detox your body. Mm-hmm. Once you have done that, whatever symptoms remain are the symptoms you're actually dealing with of a dis-ease, because 80 to 90% of so-called disease symptoms in your society are actually the result of toxicity in your system.
Yes.
So once you detoxify, you'll at least know what you're actually dealing with, and in fact, most of it may actually go away. Mm-hmm. Energetically, of course, as we have already discussed, you have to start looking at what you're getting out of having the experience, what you are learning that you might otherwise not have learned.
Absolutely. And the last 7 years has been a process of totally detoxing, like taking a magnifying glass to every aspect of my life, relationships, physical environment, food, everything, and going through and doing my best to figure out what's serving me, what isn't.
All right.
And I do realize that this entire experience, it's sort of like this boot camp to really like set me on the straight and narrow so that I can be capable of more. So I am seeing it as a blessing.
All right.
And after hearing you talk earlier about like self-limiting beliefs, like I have felt like I'm blocked, and I learned just minutes ago that like I have that belief that I am blocked and therefore I'm blocked.
Yes.
The core of the question is, so I'm going to continue to do that work on beliefs. Is there some sort of toxin in my environment that I'm missing? Because there's like a million different variables, and I'm just curious if anything pops up.
I have one suggestion.
Okay.
Say that in your environment, perhaps there are a dozen variables.
Okay.
Instead of a million.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that make it feel easier already?
It really does. Thank you.
Remember, pay attention to what comes out of your mouth, because you may be creating way more difficulty in your challenges than you need to, just by the way you're framing the experience or your relationship to it. You follow?
I follow.
So maybe there is a thing that you need to become aware of. It doesn't mean that there are a million things you need to become aware of, because otherwise, don't you feel a little overwhelmed when you say it that way?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's keep it down to manageable levels.
Okay.
This is a good practice for all of you in any challenge that you have. Start with a version of it that's on a manageable level according to your belief system. If you say, there are a million variables here I need to look at, well, you almost don't even want to get off the couch. But if you say, okay, there's one thing perhaps that I could research, I could investigate, I could look at, well, that's manageable. I'll take it a step at a time. I'll start with that. If there's another one, then it'll come at a point and in a way that I can manage that too, because I'll have built on my experience with dealing with the first one. So at least make it in manageable steps, if nothing else. Yes?
Thank you.
Now, in what way has the so-called health issue expressed itself physically?
So some levels of fatigue, but for me it's mostly cognitive, difficulty with memory and concentration. My main complaint, I guess, would be difficulty handling stressful situations. A lot of times my brain will just completely...
I will ask you one physical question.
Absolutely.
You might want to check and see if your electrolytes are depleted.
Thank you.
Yes?
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Will that do for that?
That is a great first step. Thank you.
All right.
Another question on fear versus intuition and being able to differentiate between the two.
You can't tell the difference between fear and intuition?
I mean, most of the time, like they're both voices seemingly in my head, right?
Don't they feel different? Or is it that you have an intuition and then you have a fear about it?
That could very well be the case.
That's different.
Yeah.
You ought to be able to tell the difference between the intuition and the fear that might be a separate experience about the intuition. If you think about it that way, look at it that way, set it up that way, maybe it will be easier for you to suss out what the fear is being generated by, what negative beliefs is generating the fear. Mm-hmm. If you don't assume that it's difficult to tell the difference between fear and intuition, but that you know when you're having an intuition, and then you can recognize when you're having fear about what you're intuiting, that may give you something easier to work with.
Okay.
Yes? So you're not smashing them together where you can't tell them apart, because that's a definition. Your definition is smashing them together, making it more difficult to tell them apart. So have a definition where you say, no, my intuition is clear when it's happening, but I realize that separately, I'm having a fear reaction to it. Well, now I have something to work with because I can separate the two and see them both clearly for what they are, yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
That does help. One last question.
Yes.
In your previous videos, I've seen people ask questions a couple times about, you can call it the downfall of the financial situation or like the evolution of it.
Yes.
And I'm curious how much cryptocurrency plays into that.
Not much.
Not much?
No.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask a general overall question. Nobody needs to answer, but you can ponder it. In many of these conversations, many of you come up to us and say, well, I've seen you in your previous videos say this. I've seen you in your previous videos say that. How come nobody comes up and says, I've seen you in your future videos say this, and your future videos say this? Let's just let that question sink in. Oh, let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. First and foremost, we thank each and every one of you, again, individually and all of you together collectively, for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance for us to experience through each and every one of you another facet, another perspective, another point of view and experience of all that is. We would like to begin this transmission by talking about an idea to give you more clarity on the concept of manifestation. It has been labeled, has been recognized by many different names in many different cultures, not only on your world, but other civilizations as well. One of the names you have given the idea of the manifestation space comes from your psychological disciplines and has been referred to generally, loosely, as the collective unconscious. It can be referred to that way. It can be referred to as consensus agreement. It can be referred to as the idea of manifestation space, as we have done by labeling or titling this transmission that way. But primarily, it is really all about what might be termed the primary belief. Now, the idea is as follows. First, it is important to realize that you don't have to learn to manifest. You're manifesting, obviously, all the time, or you would not be having any kind of a physiological experience at all. So you're always manifesting. This isn't about learning how to manifest. This is about learning how you already manifest, so you have more conscious recognition, more conscious awareness over the process, understand more clearly the mechanism at work, and how you actually transform concepts from a non-physical, higher level, higher dimension reality into the physical experience that you're all having. The idea begins, of course, with the formation of what we have termed the physical persona, the personality that is composed of the definitions or belief systems and the emotions and the thought processes that then combine to form the behavior of the physical individual that you have chosen to be, to experience yourself as. But in creating the fundamental definitions that underscore that personality construct, that creates within your consciousness a certain resonance, a certain frequency. That frequency then is translated into your reality as what may be collectively called a state of being. That energetic state of being, that particular consciousness frequency, then radiates, in a sense, within your consciousness, ripples out from that center point, just to give it a focal point for you, physiologically, to relate to, and is reflected back. Now, that reflection is not actually happening, of course, outside you. It is happening, again, within your consciousness. But we're calling it a reflection for illustrative purposes to make it, again, easier to understand how the mechanism works, at least by analogy. That reflection then encounters something very specific. For you to experience the reflection in the way you do as the experience of physical reality, something specific has to happen. And this is where the manifestation space or the prime belief system actually comes in. This truly primary belief receives the reflection and does something very specific with it, changes the frequency, the resonance, in a very particular way that can be translated by the phrase, "This is real." Without that primary belief telling you that the reflection you're experiencing in your consciousness from the state of being you're creating with your definitions and beliefs, without that phrase, without that recognition, without that enhancement, you would not be capable of experiencing physical reality as if it were real. So manifestation begins in the physical experience with that prime belief that this is real. Now, as you expand your consciousness and begin to recognize more and more often that physical reality is your projection, is your construction, is in a sense an illusion and not really real, in the sense that it doesn't really exist outside of you. It is a construct within your consciousness. But by telling yourself it's real, thus then being capable of making it appear to be outside of you, making it manifest seemingly around you, in your life, in your physical reality. But expanding your consciousness starts to break that down, because you are starting to recognize and realize that physical reality is an illusion. You're starting, in a sense, not to pay as much attention, so to speak, to the prime belief that this is real. You will still pay enough attention to the prime belief, the manifestation space, to still have a physiological experience, but the idea of becoming aware that that's the way it works, and that's the way you reinforce the illusion by having the prime belief that allows you to buy into the collective consensus agreement that what you're experiencing is real, you can still make it more malleable, more flexible, even while you're having the physiological experience. It can become more slippery by allowing yourself a little bit of leeway to start breaking what we call the continuity illusion, the manifestation illusion, the prime belief illusion that this is real. Don't misunderstand, the experience of physical reality is real, but physical reality itself is just a projection, just an illusion, and isn't real unto itself without you manifesting that experience by telling yourself over and over again, every moment, that this is real. So when you begin to wrap your mind around the understanding that there is a specific space, a specific resonance point within your consciousness that we are calling the manifestation space, or the prime belief that is reinforcing the idea that what you're experiencing is real, you can now begin to play with it a little bit more consciously. Again, not completely letting it go, but allowing it to be a little bit more plastic, a little bit more malleable, so you can begin to work with it in more conscious ways and allow yourself to begin to manifest the things that are truly more in alignment with your preference, with your resonance, with your true signature vibration, instead of manifesting things that might be out of alignment with it. This will also help reduce the amount of processes that you might need to arrive at any particular point in your life. By allowing things to work for you instead of believing that you have to make them work, you will allow this manifestation space, this resonant point within your consciousness, to begin to truly align with the fundamental frequency of your being, and in so doing, allowing physical reality as a projection to become a little bit more transparent to you as a projection, thus allowing for more slippage in your space-time experience and the breaking, as we said, of what you typically call continuity, where things can manifest much more rapidly, where there doesn't have to be as much attention paid to the concept of time or space in which manifestations appear to occur. So by just knowing and just visualizing and just imagining in any way, shape, or form that works for you, this resonance point within your consciousness, this manifestation space, this prime belief where you're telling yourself this is real, and allowing that to become a conscious, or at least more conscious, directive that you're telling yourself about the reflections you're creating within your consciousness, you can begin to see things start to break apart a little bit more. Things become a little bit more magical in their manifestation. The increase in synchronicity can be quite profound when you wrap your mind around and pay attention to the fact that you have that manifestation space, that resonance point within your consciousness that is constantly reinforcing the idea of physical reality as a real experience, as a real thing. So the more you pay attention to that, the more you're aware that that exists, the more you may, in your journeys through life, as you follow your passion to the best you're able, with no insistence on a particular outcome, actually find yourself capable of manifesting things that are far more representative and far more reflective of your passion, of your joy, of your synchronicity, of your being, of your creativity, of your love, of all the different ways that you might choose to express yourself in positive and constructive ways within your life, by knowing that you're the one that determines whether something really is real or not. Now, again, there is the consensus level to this, where you will not necessarily let go of all that you have agreed to in terms of playing this game called physical reality on Earth. And certainly, You can relax some of your agreements, however, with the consensus to start allowing whatever it is that is more representative of you as an individual to begin to appear in your life, to begin to manifest in ways that serve you, while knowing that when you do that, you are actually also serving the whole, serving the consensus agreement, because it's about becoming the piece of the puzzle picture that you were created to be, more clearly. And just being in that shape will allow other pieces to also simply be the shape they were created to be, so that all the pieces fit together more seamlessly, more harmoniously, more effortlessly in that way. Now, again, the idea of manifestation, as we will remind you, please understand again, as we have just described, it is not something you're doing in terms of bringing something from somewhere else to where you are. Everything is here, and everything is now. Much of it might be invisible to you at this moment, and that's all right, because it's operating on a frequency that is representative of someone that you are still in process of becoming. And as soon as you become that person, as soon as you match the frequency of that invisible thing that is already here, then you begin to perceive it. So this idea of wrapping your mind around this manifestation space, this resonant point, this prime belief, this is real. As soon as you start really playing with that and start recognizing that that exists within you to reinforce the reflection much more often with your awareness, then you will see that the manifestations will occur automatically, because you're simply shifting your vibration and recognizing what has always been here that is relevant for you to experience in your life. And it will always appear in perfect timing when you are focusing on that resonant focal point and knowing that you're the one telling yourself that this is real, this is real, this is real. But the awareness that you're telling yourself that, paradoxically, does a little bit of just the opposite. This is an illusion, this is an illusion, this is an illusion, because I have to tell myself this is real in order for it to be an experience. If you didn't have to tell yourself it was real, then yes, it would be real in the classic meaning of that term. But because you actually have to convince yourself it's real, that tells you that it's not real. It's an illusion. The proof, in a sense, and we know that sometimes you don't necessarily think about physical reality this way, but the proof, in a sense, is as follows. We have talked about the idea that you are really an indestructible, eternal, and infinite being, and that everything exists here and now, which means you do too. That there is really only a single moment. There is really only a single spot. That means existence, in a sense, is permanent. The fact that things in physical reality are not permanent should tell you everything you need to know about the fact that it's an illusion. That's why it breaks down over time. Because it is an illusion, because things that are actually real, like your existence, never change. They're permanent. So the very fact that you see things break down over time, disintegrate over time, get worn over time in your physical reality is a sign that what you're dealing with isn't real. That you have to actually work to maintain it over a period of time by convincing yourself that it's real. But over time, that loosens its interest. It loosens the bond. You start to recognize, as you become more aware, that physical reality is not real. And that's why even within the consensus, things start disintegrating, deteriorating, falling apart, because you're the one that has to hold it together to perpetuate it. So the very fact that physical reality is impermanent tells you it's not real. You're the one that's maintaining it. You're the one that continues to manifest it. And the changes that occur are the changes that are relevant for you to understand, in whatever way it's important for you to understand, that physical reality is just a projection and it's not something that needs to last. But you will, because you exist and you have that fundamental quality of existence. Is this making some sense to all of you? Yes. All right. So let your mind just sort of ponder the idea of the manifestation space of the prime belief, where you are taking reflections created by your belief system and using the prime belief to convince yourself this is real. And by realizing that you're doing that, letting yourself relax the reality factor so that it can become flexible enough for you to begin to allow it to align with your fundamental vibration sufficiently to begin to experience manifestation on a whole new level. Deal? All right. It's up to you. We thank you then for allowing us to transmit this idea, this seed of change to you. Let it grow within you at whatever rate is relevant for you, in whatever way is best for you. In return for the gift you have given us, we ask now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogues and questions if you wish.